So we're on dividends. I'm going to use brief exercise 11.7 to sort of demonstrate how dividends work. First of all, what's a dividend? It's a distribution to your stockholders of corporate earnings. The company will pay out a certain amount for each share of a company that you own. There's different types of dividends. The ones we're going to be working with are cash dividends and stock dividends. We are not going to be doing property dividends. Those you run into in the intermediate levels. So before a company can issue a dividend, there has to be three conditions met. First of all, if it's a cash dividend, there has to be enough in the retained earnings to cover the dividend. The company also has to have enough cash to pay the dividend, and the board of directors must declare a dividend. So we'll have several dates involved here. There'll be the declaration date of the dividend. That's the date that the board of directors declare it. That's when it becomes a liability. They will say that we're going to declare a dividend of, $1 a share to stockholders of record on a certain date, and then we'll pay it on a date after that. The date of record is simply the date that if you own the stock on that date, you get the dividend, and if you have sold it or you don't own it on that date, you don't. They don't talk about it in the book, but typically a stock will go what's called ex-dividend a few days before the date of record, simply because of the paperwork involved. So, in other words, if you buy the stock, you will not get the dividend if you buy it a couple of days before the date of record. Okay, so let's look at this brief exercise 11.7. It says the Greenwood Corp has 80,000 shares of common stock. It declares $1 per share dividend on November 1st to stockholders of record on December 1st, and they're going to pay the dividend on December 1st. So let's sort that out a little bit. So first of all, we've got a declaration date. That's the date when they declare the dividend. So they declared it on November 1st. Okay. The date of record, if you own the stock on this date, you get the dividend, is December 1st. And the payment date is 12/31. Okay, so for this one and this one, we do a journal entry. This one, there might be a memo, but we do not need to do a journal entry for the date of record. So on November 1st, they declare a dividend. So we're going to call these cash dividends because it's a cash dividend. It's a stockholders' equity account. It's a reduction to retained earnings. It gets closed to retained earnings. And then at this point, we would have a dividends payable. The amount is not too hard to determine in this problem. It's $1 a share times the 80,000 shares. Sometimes it'll be 50 cents or $2. So it's on this declaration date that the dividend becomes a liability. Okay, it becomes a payable on that date. Prior to the declaration date, it's not a liability. Okay, so 12.1, the most you would do is a memo that it is the date of record. And on 12/31, we would simply pay the dividend, out. So we would reduce our dividend payable liability, and we would write a check to all of our happy stockholders. And that's about it for your cash dividends on common stock. Okay.